What's up, everyone? Welcome back. All right, so today we're going to dive into what I am actually doing during this first trimester period of my life to stay fit and healthy, even with all of the issues that happen in a first trimester of a pregnancy. So just to name a few, you are nauseated as hell. You are super emotional. You are maybe depressed. Maybe you're having depression and anxiety in the prenatal phase. You're exhausted, wiped out. You have really strong aversions, really strong cravings. Some of the food that you used to like, you now hate. Some of the food that you didn't eat, you now want. Maybe the changes happening in your body are really distressing to you or confusing or alarming. There's just so much that can happen in that first window early on. So I have been sort of navigating that in the past couple of weeks and really getting my footing after processing the shock of discovering that we were pregnant. And I wanted to share with you guys what I have been doing specifically to take care of myself in a way that felt feasible, achievable, sustainable, and also allowed for all of these discomforts and just the changes that come so quickly with pregnancy. Previously to being pregnant, I was training for a very specific physique, and I was eating on a very specific meal plan, and I was plant-based. With very rare exceptions of like some seafood, eggs, dairy, things of that nature. And I had no problems with that. My palate was satisfied. It was going well. And now that I am pregnant, I am no longer there. Those things no longer work for me. The same meal plan that I was using doesn't work for me. The same kind of movement that I was doing doesn't work for me. All of a sudden, my world got flipped upside down in what I could do because of the energy that I had, and also what I could eat because of the aversions that I had or the cravings that I had. So I realized this is probably a very common issue, and how do you still stay healthy even when all of that is going on? So that's what I want to share with you guys today. So I have five specific things that I'm going to talk about. And the first one, it comes to eating. And it's focusing on nourishment versus a caloric count or, a metric of measurement or a unit of measurement. Focusing on feeling nourished. One of the biggest issues I had early on was, for me, in that first trimester period, my appetite is raging. I know a lot of women kind of have an opposite situation where they're so sick they don't have an appetite. Even though this time I did have more nausea than the first time, I also still had an enormous appetite. And that made it really difficult because it always felt like I never was satisfied. I could never eat enough. So I was eating almost like every hour and a half, and not always making the best choices because I was also tired and I was reaching for very quick things. Okay. So it's really important that you focus on feeling nourished when you eat and not focus so much on like, okay, points, calories, blah, 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 whatever. The two things that I would pay attention to the most is making sure that whatever you're consuming is low on sugar and low on sodium. And that's typically a rule that I give everyone, whether you're pregnant or not. Low sugar, lower sodium, meaning per serving, you're not consuming more than 7 to 8 grams of sugar of something is like the biggest thing. Sodium, I don't really have like a specific number that I look for, but if any container, let's say you're buying broth, for example, and broth is a tricky one. Like if you've never noticed when you're shopping for like a veggie broth or chicken broth or whatever at the store, make sure you turn that box over and you read the sodium count. I have read that in like a container basically of broth, there's like 800 milligrams of sodium, which is insane. That's way too much. They usually have like a lower sodium version of broths that are between 200 to 300. That's a way better option than 800 milligrams. In general, when you're pregnant, inflammation occurs and you tend to have some swelling. So just having a lower sodium intake is just smart, just because you don't want to be feeling extra uncomfortable in your body. And sugar is also inflammatory. So if you're eating lower on sugar and lower on sodium, you'll probably have a lot of those symptoms be massively decreased. But other than that, there's really no hard, fast rule. Don't eat that. Don't eat that. Like, really listen to your body. One of the things that happened to me was I started to crave meat, which I hadn't eaten meat in like a year. Like poultry or beef or anything like that. And at first I was like, what is this? Like, what a weird thing to crave. But I just chose to listen to my body, because the body's really wise. And I don't think that we really give it enough credit for what it knows, especially when it's doing something like creating life. So just honor that. And if you find yourself gravitating towards specific foods, there's probably a reason for why you're doing that. Again, assuming that it's not just sugar all day long, because that's definitely not going to help in the pregnancy. So that's my first one, is focus on nourishment and feeling nourished. Try to stay in that low sugar, low sodium. But other than that, like, don't really focus so much on how many calories you're consuming, or, what that equals out to. The second one is movement related. So movement is really challenging very early on, because you're super tired and you're sick and a host of other things. So I was used to working out 6 days a week. No problem. I could crush a workout 6 days a week. I can't do that now because it doesn't feel good in my body, because I'm tired. And generally because you don't want to overtax your body in that first trimester in general. The baby is just beginning to form and your body's just adapting. And so it's just generally better not to overdo it with movement. Because I had been exercising for 4 years prior to getting pregnant really consistently, my body is really strong. So I have more endurance than perhaps someone who wasn't training at all prior to getting pregnant. And that's a comment I've gotten a lot. How do you have the energy to show up and work out? How are you even doing it at all? Well, endurance. Fitness is not just about weight loss. You don't just exercise because you want to lose weight. We exercise because we want to be fit. And pregnancy is one of those things you need a lot of endurance for. You need it during the pregnancy, and you need it during the labor, and you need it postpartum as well. So I can show up and work out 3-4 times a week without it being that big of a deal, even if I'm tired or struggling a bit, because I have endurance. And so if you don't even have the energy to do that, it's probably because you're deconditioned, and you need to condition your body into having stronger endurance. And if you're cleared by your physician to start working out, you can start exercising at any point in your pregnancy. And I have a ton of prenatal workouts that are safe for every trimester. So if you need me, let me know and I can give you that material. But move when you're able. Don't get so caught up in like, oh, I can't work out on my schedule, or I'm behind. And like in my groups, I hear that a lot. People will be like, oh, I missed out 2-3 days. What do I do? Jump back in. What do you do? Jump back in. Start where you left off. Do I start all over? No, not necessarily. Just start where you left off. I recommend that to anybody, pregnant or not pregnant. Do what you can on the days that you are able, and that's wonderful. Whatever you can do when you show up for movement is always going to benefit you, and it's always going to benefit the baby. And don't get so caught up in like, it's not perfect, I can't follow a perfect schedule. That doesn't matter. Movement is awesome any of the time that you can get it in. The third one is something anyone can do no matter where you are, and that is meditation and mindfulness work. I have started doing that now daily again, because we launched a meditation program. My company did, called Unstressed, and it's 10-minute meditations for 21 days. And it's basically a meditation course. It teaches people who don't meditate how to meditate. And so I'm running a group on this program. So I'm of course doing it as well. And it's really been life altering for me in this phase of my life to have committed to that program. Because having those 10 minutes of mindfulness in the morning, where I am just with my own mind and listening to the guidance of the teacher who's guiding me in that meditation in that moment, has just really helped me set a tone for where I want to be the rest of the day. And it's made me way more patient, way more calm, have way more grace with myself and more compassion. So one of the things that happens in that early pregnancy period is women tend to be really hard on themselves because you can't do a lot of the things that you're used to doing. So you feel like you're failing at a lot. And you feel like you're behind and you feel like you can't keep up. So I really can't stress the importance of doing meditation, especially in that first trimester, to really get your mind primed for the experience you are having and appreciating what you do have, instead of consistently depreciating your life and yourself, which is really easy to do when you feel like you're not doing enough, right? So meditation, no matter where you are in your first trimester, you can do. And no matter where you are in your physical health journey, you can do. And it doesn't really take a long time. 5 to 10 minutes is more than enough for you to have an amazing mental state that really supports you when you're living through difficult things. The fourth one is hydration. Water is incredibly important, of course, but if you're someone like me who gets dehydrated very quickly, so even when I am hydrating adequately, I don't know if it's a condition or what it is, but I tend to tank in dehydration extremely fast. I have to be very, very careful when it comes to hydration, because I just have this thing where I dehydrate insanely quickly. And so this fourth point kind of ties into my fifth point, because on top of drinking a ton of water, I also use hydration supplements. And there's two that I use. One is one that my company has called Hydrate, and the other one is a company called Noon, N-U-U-N. And that I use a hydration supplement just to make sure that my electrolyte balance is good and I'm not in a depletion, because dehydration not only is it dangerous generally, but it also can lead to depression. A lot of people don't know that one of the side effects of dehydration is feeling depressed. So please make sure that you are hydrated and you are hydrating well. That's so important in general. And my fifth point is supplementation, which I'm going to toss in there, because a prenatal vitamin, by the way, is considered a supplement. There's a reason you take a supplement when you're pregnant, because you need extra support. So I talk about supplementation all the time. You guys know that I'm a big fan of supplements. So here are some supplements I'm using right now that really help. So I'm using a prenatal called Actif. It is organic. It is made in the US. And it's just once a day. And I also take a prenatal DHA as well. The Actif has DHA, but I take an extra pellet. I take that in the morning. And then the other thing that I take sort of right before I work out, if I'm going to have a workout day that's very active, like weight training and cardio, something that makes me really tired, is I'll take my pre-workout. So my pre-workout is safe. There's no ingredient in there that's toxic for pregnancy. Obviously, I recommend everybody take anything that you use to your doctor if you don't feel comfortable using it, just so that they can look over the ingredients. But for me, my pre-workout has been a lifesaver with nausea. It actually has helped me diminish my nausea, get that under control, and it gives me a boost of energy so that I can actually show up for my workout, because sometimes just showing up to the mat feels really hard right now. So with the pre-workout, I usually put in my hydration supplement as well. I mix it together, and so I'm hydrating and I'm energizing at the same time to get out on the mat and work out and make sure that I'm properly hydrated. So do the prenatal DHA, and I do that. Then in the afternoon, for like a fourth meal in my day or a snack, I do my micronutrient supplement, which is usually a smoothie. And again, I'm having a lot of greens aversions, which is weird because I loved eating salads and greens all the time. My particular supplement counts as 8 superfood salads. So it equates you ingesting 8 superfood salads, which is impossible to do, even for me on a good day eating salads. So I know that at the very least, I am getting that every day in the afternoon. And so I'm meeting my micronutritional needs and something that tastes like dessert and tastes delicious, and I don't have to struggle to meet them. I also sneak in extra spinach in there, extra fruit portions in there, blend it all together, and I'm rocking and rolling. It's just a great way, fast meal. Sorry, I'm really dry. It's a fast meal, and it's fast meal postpartum too. You don't have a lot of time when you have a little baby. So one of the things I hear the most from my clients who are moms is like, it's so easy to make. You can shake it, you can blend it, tastes delicious, and you feel amazing after you drink it because it also gives you a natural energy boost. So those are the supplements that I use on a daily basis. And if you need help with supplementation, please let me know. I can help you figure out what's going to work best for you, or give you my exact regimen that I use on a daily basis. But every member who joins my groups they join with a bundle. And the bundle is typically a fitness program library and a supplement of choice, or a combination of supplements depending on what they're needing, because that really is the total solution. It's you moving your body, it's you getting your nutrition in check, which is part supplementation and part nutritional courses if you're wanting to lose weight or gain weight as well. And now we have a pregnancy program as well for nutrition. So typically people get a bundle and then they start because they have the total solution. For me as a coach, giving you a piece of that feels very incomplete, because you're not going to have all of the tools to get the work done. I'd rather give you an entire system that when you put them together absolutely delivers results. And I know that because they've delivered results for me. So those are my 5 on food, movement, meditation, hydration, and supplementation of what I'm doing. I am currently 2 months pregnant, and I'm still 3 pounds under my pre-pregnancy weight from my first child. Okay, so not only did I lose all of my baby weight with these programs and systems I'm talking about, but I went way under my pre-pregnancy weight. I started this pregnancy at 139 and my pre-pregnancy weight was 150. So 151, I think, my first time. So massive difference, of course. My body has different symptoms than it had the first time, for sure, more intense in a lot of ways, but it's also way stronger than it was my first time, and I can tell. My endurance is really different, and my mental state is really different. And again, I work out for endurance and for fitness. Losing weight, the truth about weight loss is that it's a food thing. So if you want to lose weight, you need to learn how to nourish, really learn how to nourish. But we exercise not because it helps you lose weight. I hate to break that to you. What exercise does is it helps you build muscle, it helps you tone, helps you create definition. But it teaches you resilience and endurance. And so when things are tough or you have difficult circumstances, you have endurance, which is what I now have because of my past 4 years doing the work that I've been doing. So if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to ask. But I thought it would be valuable to share how I am personally handling the first trimester, which is extremely challenging and comes with a whole bag of things that is very unexpected and can turn your life around from a health perspective very quickly. If you have any specific questions about like your body or the circumstances you're going on and you don't necessarily feel comfortable posting them in comments, you're free to either direct message me or drop me an email, coach.shakti@protonmail.com. Drop me a line, let me know. Ask me questions. I'm happy to do that. I'll also be writing a blog about this because I imagine there's going to be a lot of questions in the future when I'm no longer pregnant, but other women are becoming pregnant, about how to handle these obstacles. And I plan on making more of a series on this, as I go along my pregnancy, to just share with you guys how I'm handling each unique stage of the pregnancy and what I'm doing to make sure that I'm still healthy and I'm still fit and I'm still active without overwhelming my system or my mental state. Okay, so I love you guys. Thanks for hanging with me, and I'll be chatting with you soon.